Hi guys, welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books. Two books, well, one book and a DNF. So let's talk about the DNF first, right? It's a soft DNF because I'm a mood reader, and if you're a mood reader, you kind of get what I'm saying. Like sometimes a book you think is really going to hit, it's not jiving with you at the moment. So I think I'm going to put it to the side and try it again. But it is a cozy mystery called Murder in the Library, Lottie Sprigg's Country House Mystery Book 1 by Martha Bond. It's about 220 pages. I stopped it at page 51, which was like chapter 12. Just when the dead body shows up. It was a very slow opening. Very slow. I believe there's like a whole chapter of secondary characters before Lottie shows up. Now Lottie, I liked Lottie. She was once a house. There's these two neighbors in England. I'm assuming it's England, because you know they're titled and everything. Yes, it's England because at one point one of the people mentioned they got their land from William the Conqueror. That's what I mean. There's like a lot of info in the beginning and like all before our main character, our like mystery galley shows up. Mystery galley. Mystery gal shows up. So Lottie used to be, so there's these two families and they've been at war or like hate each other, a feud for like 300 years. Because one family says they put a wall 30 acres into the other family, and the other family says no they didn't, that's their land. So stupid rich people shit, right? And I'm saying that because both families have like hundreds of acres of land that belongs to them, right? So even Lottie's like 30 acres seems like a lot to her, but they're like, oh, it's just a tiny little parcel of land, who cares? So it's like I think the author, I liked their writing style. I completely felt like the two family and all their children were spoiled brats, which is what you're like meant to, you know what I mean? Lottie was a maid for one of the families, but that family's, the head of the family, like his wife, sister, hired Lottie as her traveling companion, so she's not a maid anymore. And this is like the turn of the century, the 1900s, I believe. Yeah, because for a lot of this book, they complain their servants are leaving to work at the factories because that's better hours and better pay. And I was like, damn, pay your people more, you know? And of course, they're like, oh, the family income, the household income, we can't pay them anymore. Whatever, right? Meanwhile, they're like dining on china and gold and shit. I don't know. Made me mad. But I like Lottie. She seems very, well, we're told by her friends that she's very intelligent. Because, again, this is like the beginning of the book, right? So I'm fine with that at the beginning of the book. I get it. But, like, she's talking to her friend. She's like, oh, you could have been the traveling companion. It was just luck. And the friend's like, no, you speak French. And you are so smart. And you, like, notice everything. So I'm like, okay, cool. We kind of get told who's Lottie's personality by a third party, you know, instead of showing us. So I was like, all right. But again, in books, the show not tell is a rule. But it's sort of like, of course, books, there's going to be a little telling, right? But you just don't want the telling to overshadow the showing. And I DNF'd it because, I'm sorry, but like it was boring. Like the soft opening was so soft that literally 12 chapters in, 50 pages in to a 230 page book, it's like 20%. And like, that's just when Lottie showed up, you know? And I'm like, she's the head investigator. Like, she's the one that we're going to follow. Why are we getting so much story of the two families? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, these families, it could have, like, the story could have been reworked where we find out about these feuding families after the murder. You know what I mean? So we're kind of discovering this stuff with Lottie. but it was just kind of switched around. So I think this could have done with like a little bit of a pass, like a second pass, maybe a little more editorial work. It's just, and I hate to say it, like I just found it boring. I hate to say it because the writer I think is really talented, and I really like Lottie. But honestly, 50 pages in, a cozy mystery, and I'm not interested, and I'm not like hooked. Like, you know, that's why it's sort of a soft DNF, because I'm like, well, maybe, you know, a couple months I might be in a better mood, or I might feel a little different. You know, maybe I want a book that's going a little slower. You know, maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I'll try something else by this author. You know what I mean? I'm just not, the slow opening just isn't my thing. Like, I get it. A slow opening for like a chapter, a couple pages while you lead us in, that's fine. It doesn't have to be like, boom, hook me in the first paragraph or the first word. I get it. But like 12 chapters in and like, I don't care. That's kind of, you know? So DNF. Am I going to try something else from the author? Probably. Ooh, I wish I could talk today. Jeez. Am I going to maybe pick up even some in the Lottie Springs category? Maybe, you know, maybe I'll pick this one up again in a couple months. I don't know. That's why it's a soft DNF. I don't hate it. It just, I was bored. Okay. So the next book is contemporary suspense romance. Oh boy. Because you guys know contemporary romance, oh, it's really rare when I like them. This one is The Investigator, Norcross Security Book 1 by Anna Hacket. Now this is about like 260 pages. Oh man, when I tell you this book, for most of it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a 1 star, you know? Most of it. Until the third act. And the third act, something happened that I was like, all right, this was fun, you know? Maybe 2 stars. You know, I think maybe I could try another book from this author because maybe this book just didn't hit. But like, fun. So this book went from, oh my god, this sucks, to like, maybe I'll try a different book from this author because this is pretty fun. So let me explain. All right, so Haven is our main gal. She is 29, I believe. And she is an art museum curator, recently moved up from Miami. I believe they're in California. And I was like, damn girl, where she was a curator in Miami, right? So I was like, damn, to be a curator at like in your 20s, even late 20s, like that is a feat. You go. Like I was really excited. Because I was like expecting a very highly intelligent, driven kind of person, because that is impressive, right? So she works at this art gallery that is run by the oldest brother of the Norcross family. So this family, and like when I tell you, because in my notes there's like a whole page of notes, right? Usually that doesn't happen. But when I tell you, I wasn't sure who the main love interest was for a bit, because I was like, I wrote Easton, who is the oldest of the Norcross brothers, who's her boss. I was like, oh, is he the love interest? And then I wrote Vander, who is like the second oldest brother in the Norcross family, who owns the security agency. I was like, oh, he must be the love interest. And then I was wrong because it was Reese, the youngest brother of the Norcross security, Norcross brothers, but he is the top investigator for the Norcross security. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, why do we spend so much time like describing Easton? Why did we spend so much time describing Vander? Like I was a little confused, you know? And they have one sister, Gia, who I really, really like. And I think the next book is about her. So that's why I'm like tempted. I really like her. She's the only girl and she is Haven's best friend. She is feisty. I like her. I like her a lot, right? So she works at this art gallery. They get robbed. And the water lilies by Monet is stolen, right? The guys who Rob beat her up a little bit, right? So they shot the 2 security guards and she gets roughed around. Horrible. And also we know from her POV that she left Miami to get out of a very bad relationship. I'm talking about cheating and physically abusive relationship, right? And for that alone, I was like, oh, Haven, honey, I'm rooting for you, girl. You know what I mean? So Easton shows up in great detail. That's why I thought, oh, he must be the love interest. And then Vander shows up in great detail. I was like, oh, he must be the love interest. Nope. And then Reese shows up in great detail. I was like, is that the love interest? And it turns out, yeah, Reese is the love interest. So Reese is sort of a party boy. They all are vets. They're all veterans. And Vander and Reese were part of a ghost ops. I'm like, okay. All right. You could just say special ops, like, but okay. All right. You know, I'm not going to hate on a writer for doing a little bit of drama, so fine, you know what I mean? And the thing about Haven is, right, her actions do not really match her internal POV voice, okay? So, again, curator of 2 museums, very young, you know, she's obviously a good boss. She really cares about her employees, you know, which is shown. But, you know, her internal voice is like, oh my God, he's like so hot. And I'm like, it just didn't seem to match who we were shown Haven is. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, it just felt like a very immature inner voice when she was thinking about Reese compared to her personality we are shown on the page. And this writer does a great job of showing, which I really, really like. So I think that's why one thing really frustrated me, and I'll talk about that in a second. The only reason I know that Reese is the love interest because she's sitting on a bench and she's got like a black eye and stuff, and he bends down, touches her face gently, and it's like, are you okay, sweetheart, or babe, or something. I was like, oh, so he's the love interest because she keeps describing how all these guys are super freaking hot. So, okay. I mean, granted, I'm an idiot and I should have realized, you know, the title, The Investigator, that also gave me a hint, but like after, because again, I am an idiot, so fine. But she doesn't want to get involved because she's sworn off men. And honey, me too. Like, I get it. I get how like a bad breakup kind of, you don't want to deal with it anymore. So like, I get it, right? And like, I liked Haven. I liked her. I wished her internal voice matched her external personality that were shown, because I liked her and I hated her at the same time. You know, that is the thing that happened in this book. So she's determined to get the water lilies back. One, because she doesn't want to get fired. Like, she's, you know, worried about all these things because her old job was run by her ex-boyfriend's sister. So when things went bad, she got fired or left or whatever, right? So also Reese is the older brother to her, not older brother, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Gia is in the line, like family order, but like best friend's brother and her boss's brother. So I get why she really doesn't want to be with him. And he has a reputation of being a ladies' man, right? So again, I understand why she wants to stay far away from him, right? Emotionally speaking, like, I get it. That was fine. I was enjoying the book to, you know, so far, you know, I was like, okay, it's gonna be one of those, you know, alpha male blah, 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 kind of guys that like I kind of roll my eyes at a little bit, you know, because honestly, I've said this before, you know, that type of personality in a historical romance, fine, I could dig it, I probably even enjoy it. But that personality in like a contemporary, I'm like, girl, where's your mace? Where's your taser? Because no. You know, so that's a me thing and I get that. So I try really hard not to like, I'm trying really hard not to just like DNF a book for that. Like, I get it. I understand. Even when I was reading this, I was like, huh, if Reese was in a historical, I would like this. So let's keep going, you know, give it a chance. Like, I'm trying to be a little more forgiving, I guess. I don't know. It's not working out really well, but you know, I'm trying. So, you know, they investigate the water lilies, but really Reese wants to find the people that laid their hands on Haven and teach them a lesson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of personality he is. And I'm like, wow. Okay. Okay. So that's who he is. And that's pretty much all you need to know about him. Except he's like obsessed with Haven. He's wanted to talk to her for months. I did like this part of it. Because there are some romance authors that don't do this that I hate. Hey, Lisa Kleypa is talking to you with your 2 or 3 books where the main male character sleeps with someone else even though he's like in love with the main girl. I'm looking at you. Anyway, since he's met Haven, he hasn't been with anybody else. So I was like, oh, that's good. I like that. I like that. Okay, I'm starting to warm up to Reese. I like that, right? I will say the action scenes are a lot of fun. Russian mob gets involved. I don't want to say too much because, again, I don't want to do too many spoilers. I don't want to give away the big spoilers, right? So the action scenes were fun. And I will say there's no downtime in this book. It's like one thing after another. The art house, the art museum gets robbed. She almost gets kidnapped. Her apartment is exploded. You know, romance stuff happens. She gets kidnapped. She does get kidnapped. So it's like a lot. Suspense is definitely there. Like there's a lot that happens, right? I will say this author did a great job of showing, but like after the author would show you who the person was, they would have this irritating habit that they don't need to do because they did a good job of showing us. But this irritating habit of having one of the other characters be like, oh, always thinking about other people before yourself. That is so Haven. It's like, we saw that. Shut up. Like, just, no. Take that out. We don't need, no. We saw it. That's annoying. It's like you're telling me I'm an idiot and, I mean, I am. But like, you're assuming I can't understand what you're putting on the page. So you're reiterating it. And like kind of fucking up your own book. You know what I'm saying? Like, relax. There's her apartment is set on fire. The whole building goes up. Her neighbor is an elderly woman with mobility issues. Instead of just getting out of there, Haven risks her life to help the older woman get out of the building. So like so moments like that, we see how Haven puts herself to the back and takes care of other people. We don't need the whole annoying reiterating it verbally. No, we don't need that. We can understand subtext. Thanks. We can understand it. You know what I mean? You did a good job. You did a good job. Like, you don't have to do that. The most frustrating part. Frustrating, like I wanted to rip my hair out of my skull. Is when every time she saw one of the Norcross brothers, badass hotness, hotness badass, badass hotness, badass, badass, badass. Like over and over again. I'm clapping because I'm all fucking annoyed. It was just so like, are you kidding me? Like really? Like really? You're telling me a woman who, again, you're telling me a woman who is an art curator at a ridiculously young age can't have a higher vocabulary than badass hotness. She can't, like, nothing, really. Like, the author did a great job of explaining why Monet's Water Lilies is one of Haven's favorite and how she feels with the art. Like, beautiful job with that. It was a gorgeous scene. It was a gorgeous paragraph, right? So you telling me that there's no way she would, especially with Reese, like, equate him to some kind of art that she's probably studied extensively of, you know what I mean? Like nothing, you know? I mean, I get, okay, like not even Michelangelo's David, like I get it. He has a small little, but oddly enough, that was the beauty standard at the time. But you could say that his chest was chiseled like that sculpture or something, you know? But continuously saying badass, hot badass, badass hotness, like, it just made her seem so stupid. Like, not immature. It made her seem immature for a woman who has, like, the top of her career, who has lived through a horrible experience and lived to tell the tale, you know, who has been on her own since she's 12, you know what I mean? You're telling me that she's not more articulate, more descriptive, or more mature internally than badass, hotness, hotness, badass. I was so annoyed. I was like, say badass one more time. Like, in like 3 pages, there was twice when she said badass. And that might not seem like a lot, but that was a lot. That was a lot. And it's not the only time that's written. It's like every other page, it felt like badass, badass, badass. Ooh, sexy badasses. Look at them all in black suits, sexy badasses. Like, really? This is a contemporary romance. You couldn't be like, oh, you know, in their suits, they just made me think of James Bond. And your audience can understand that's like sophisticated with a little bit of danger. Like, we get it. You know what I mean? That was so irritating, and it was such a fun book, except for that. And I mean, to be fair, the dirty talk gave me cringe, but you know, I'm not going to, you know, put a book down for that because that is so subjective, right? There was a lot of adult scenes in this, and I was like, wow, that's so okay. And a little sooner than I thought. And then there was like plot points set up for issues in the romantic part of the story that when they paid out, they didn't pay out how I expected, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But like, he's mad at her because she's like, no, you know, you're a one night stand kind of guy and I'm not. You know, he gets mad at her because of that. And it's like, why are you getting mad at her? Like, she's not the only one that thinks you're just a good time, Charlie. Is that the saying? I don't know. But like, everybody thinks you're like that except your siblings because they knew that you had a crush on her for months. But everybody else doesn't, you know. But he's so furious with her, he just shuts her out. And I was like, that seems like an overreaction, you know. And I really, really hated the depiction of PTSD. Look. Okay, I dated someone who was in the Army who had PTSD. It is not like good sex isn't gonna fix that. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I don't appreciate this. This is not a realistic depiction, and this is not like, no, you know, a good hour of you know, of intense sex is not gonna fix them of PTSD. Like, it's just, that really got me. Like, no matter what, even if there wasn't that hotness, badass bullshit, that still would not, that dropped it down a lot for me. Again, probably because, you know, personal experience, but also like, that's not healthy or correct. And this day and age, you should kind of know better. So no, it's fine with him having PTSD. That is a realistic thing. He was in ghost ops or black ops, special ops. Of course, that's gonna happen. He's a person, and like, we're shown that he generally cares about her, you know? So, he cares about her family, his friends, so of course, it's gonna be a thing, right? But like, I'm sorry, good sex does not fix it, okay? Good sex doesn't make PTSD go away, okay? Like, that was weird. That was super weird, girl. That was weird. I did not like that. That was weird. But, the third act was a hoot. That aside, the third act, I enjoyed myself. And I was in a weird mood this week. I don't know if it's because of the solar eclipse. I don't know what's going on. Or just like, I just had it. But there was one part where the head of the local head of the Russian mob takes a particular interest in her and locks her in a room with a bodyguard. And she's trying to get out. So she's like, oh, I have to use the bathroom. And he's like, no, you stay here until whatever comes back. And I'm like, girl, just pee on the floor. Look him dead in the eyes and piss on the floor. He wants to kidnap you now, huh? You're a feral animal. Is that gonna work? And I'm like, I realize there's something deeply wrong with me. But there we go. There we go. What the hell is wrong with me? Anyway, you know, so stuff happens. There was one scene that I really, really liked in my weird bloodthirsty way, is at one point she takes her high heel shoe off, right? And she just beats the bad guy with it. And I was like, yes, thank you. High heeled shoes, weapons. You see a woman in high heeled shoes, she's weaponed up. That's right. And a weird kind of coincidence, I watched the Monkey Man movie. Also the week that I was reading that. And like also in there's a scene where someone uses a high heel shoe to beat the crap out of a bad guy. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy people are getting wise to this. Done, you know? Gosh, that tired me out. I think I have a second cup of coffee right now. I'm just like tired. So that was that. So I kept going back and forth, like 1 star. Oh no, this is fun. So maybe 4 stars. Oh no, that's not how PTSD works. 3 stars. Ooh, but the third act, that's a lot of fun. Ooh, Gina. I really like Gina. She's a great friend. Oh, the next book is about her. Ooh. So I think I'm going to put this book at 2.5 stars because there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun moments in it, right? The PTSD and badass bullshit just really knocked it down for me, but fun action. I didn't really feel connected with their love story, I'm sorry to say. I think I was just too frustrated with her internal voice not matching her external personality that like I just couldn't get into her. And so because I didn't get into her, I couldn't get into her and Reese being together, you know what I mean? So that's just for me personally. I don't know if that'll affect other people. But for me, I couldn't really get into their romance. So that's again why it's kind of a 2.5. Because I think this author needs to trust themselves a little bit more. And they did a great job of showing. I think they trust themselves a little bit more. Maybe match the internal voice with the external personality a little bit more. But the fight scenes, fun. The funny scenes, fun. It's just, please stop repeating badass. Also, I'm really curious about the middle brother Vander because she's like, I'm so terrified of Vander. I was like, oh, is it going to be one of those romances, you know? When I thought he was the love interest, right? And then the family constantly jokes like how Vander is scary. And I'm like, what is he, like a wild animal? Is he feral? Like, what is happening? Even his siblings are like, yeah, Vander's he's gonna blow up the building and skin people alive or whatever. I mean, that's not really what they said in the book, but that's kind of the impression they get, that Vander's like really super dangerous. And I'm like, but why? You're all like black ops. So like, why is Vander even more so? You know what I mean? Like what? Because he's intense? Like what's happening? I'm curious. Unfortunately, it made me curious. So I'm probably going to try out some other books from this author. Because again, it could be just this story. You know what I mean? Like the first book, it could have been just the story I picked. Because sometimes you love an author, you love most of their books, but there's some books you want to be like, what the happened? Like, what the fuck happened with this? You know what I mean? So I could have just had bad luck picking these books. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try Anna Hatchett again and Martha Bond again down the road. So there we go. That was my week. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.